Sydney is radiant. She's a diva who just stepped off the stage, still bursting with energy. She's a whole show. She's glowing and healthy. She runs in the morning and laughs the loudest in the room. And you can't help but fall in love with her. Sydney's religion is being unapologetically beautiful. She doesn't expect anything from you. She doesn't need your admiration or following. She knows she's earned it, and you will eventually fall under her charm. She doesn't have to force anything out of you. You're the one making the steps towards her, mesmerized by her glow. Does she not know she's radiant, or does she simply not care? Wherever you look, there are people running. At some point, it starts to feel like the relationship with health is almost religious here, and it's everywhere around you. Healthy bodies, sparkling new sports attire, turmeric lattes, shiny hair, sparkling white teeth, grinning in white smiles, and it's contagious to the point you feel guilty for enjoying your slow morning instead of going on a run at the pier. And the locations are so beautiful. It's like they were created for running on them while looking like a sports magazine cover. But you're just here to enjoy them, to get familiar with Sydney, hoping you can become her friend. There is so much that Sydney immediately opens up with when you enter it. It's almost overwhelming. But once you accept that she might be too big of a bite to chew and let her accept you in slowly, you'll realize the big and grand of Sydney is not how you truly embrace her. So you stop trying to keep up, and you go to where it all started. The diva has a rough, unglamorous past, and it all still lives and breathes in the rocks. You find it by following the harbor, until the skyscrapers of the city become a distant memory. It starts with water. It always does. Beneath these streets runs the tank stream, almost invisible now, buried under the city and its centuries. But it's the reason any of this exists. The Gadigal people knew it for thousands of years. Then in 1788, 11 British ships appeared on the horizon, and the stream found a new purpose: to sustain a penal colony. What had always belonged to the Gadigal suddenly, violently, didn't. Sydney doesn't hide this. She lets it sit in the stone, in the cobblestones worn smooth by convict hands, in the sandstone terraces that once held sailors and merchants and people who had nowhere else to go. She speaks about it, educates anyone willing to listen, and owns her past, even the parts that don't reflect well on her. That it still exists is all of its own miracle. In the 1970s, the city's plan was to demolish the rocks and put a high-rise commercial district in its place. The people protested and lobbied so hard that eventually the government placed a green ban on the area, and the rocks were preserved as a cultural heritage place. The diva, it turns out, built herself from all of this. The gloss came later. The moment you step out of the rocks, you'll see it. The white sails catching the light above the harbor. From here, the distance between the city's oldest bones and its most iconic crown is a short walk. But for some of us, it's been a lifetime. When I was a mere child, my mom used to dance in Mariinsky Theater and travel the world with them. She had many photos from her adventures around the world, moments she'd collected from corners of the earth I couldn't yet fathom. One of them was my favorite, her holding a koala in her arms. Australia, she told me. My dad found it on the globe for me, an island on the other side of the world, so far away it felt like falling off the edge. A place, they said, full of creatures that exist nowhere else, where everything is not like home. And somewhere on that impossible island stood one of the modern wonders of the world, the Sydney Opera House. For little Soli, this sail-shaped building has become the symbol of Australia, of a place so far away I'd probably never reach. Like a dream I can never quite grasp. The white sails against the blue sky in all their glory, the symbol of reaching as far as the earth goes. Like a dream you carry around, not because you expect to leave it, but because it's beautiful to hold. What I didn't know back then was that the building itself had almost not happened either. In the 1950s, Sydney was growing fast and urgently needed a large venue to host performances and concerts. The government has launched a global design competition, and entries flooded in from the world's top architects. One of them was Jorn Utzon, a relatively unknown Danish architect. His submission number was 218, almost the last one out of 220 contestants, and he sent his work just before the competition closed. He submitted a series of freehand sketches inspired by sails, bird wings, and walnut shells. It was spectacular. But it was also a wild gamble. No one actually knew if it could be built. In 1959, workers broke ground at Banalong Point. That's when reality hit. Utzon's soaring, poetic sails were an engineering nightmare. The technology to construct them simply didn't exist yet. The shell-shaped roofs had never been attempted at that scale. Engineers worked for years just to understand how to make them stand. The budget spiraled from $7 million to over $100. By the mid-60s, the project was years behind the schedule, and the new state government has lost its patience. They kicked Utzon off the project, and he left Australia, heartbroken, promising to never come back. In 1973, 16 years after Utzon's design won, Queen Elizabeth II officially opened the Sydney Opera House, and the whole world gasped. For it wasn't just a building, it was a masterpiece, ahead of its time, a new symbol of the nation. But the man behind it has never seen it with his own eyes, nor did he ever step his foot inside it. Yet there it stands, white sails against blue sky on the edge of the harbour, as if none of that heartbreak ever happened, as if it was always meant to be there. And in 2007, it was named the UNESCO World Heritage Site, a permanent monument to the man who dared to dream the impossible. There is a particular kind of fear that lives inside our dreams. It's not the fear of failing to reach them. It's the fear of what happens when we do. When reality finally stands in front of us and we realize it's smaller than we imagined, or different, or simply ordinary and bleak in comparison. That the dream was safer as a dream. That it's safer to give up on it before a heartbreak. How many things has it stopped us from doing or achieving? I have a list of those, I have to admit. Like leaving my dream job before it crushes me. Before it spits in my face and tells me I can never achieve my goals. I'll never find out if I would have achieved them now. I chose the heartbreak of leaving over the heartbreak of finding out. But what I did find out was this. How it feels to drink my morning coffee under the Sydney Opera House, as far from home as I'll ever be. Sipping on my turmeric latte, walking around the building, I somehow expected the dream to become smaller, the reality to shrink and disappoint me. It didn't. I kept waiting, and it didn't. The sails were as bright and beautiful as I'd imagined them, right there before my very own eyes. And something ached in my chest that was equal parts relief and embarrassment. What a waste, I thought, all that fear. How many dreams have I left on the table because I was afraid of this exact moment? Of finding out that I could have had it all along? What if I'd never found out how the ocean sounds under the Sydney Opera House?
Some questions answer themselves if you just let them. You look up. The harbor is blue, just like the sky above it. The white sails shine unrepentantly against the blue, so bright it almost blinds you. Sydney won't let you sit with your questions for too long. She has too much to show you, and the afternoon light on the water won't last. She urges you to pick up the pace, gently but firmly. Does she not know she's radiant, or does she simply not care? Sitting by the harbor, you realize you've stopped wondering. This question doesn't need an answer. Some things are most beautiful when you stop waiting for the spell to break and see that it never does. I know that now. I learned it standing under the white sails on the other side of the world, holding a coffee and feeling like a complete fool for ever having doubted it.